Before I could, however, a group of men armed with those Russian rifles that you see all over the world appeared up the road. AKs, that's what they were. They made a determined march towards our erstwhile contact. Shit, that was fast, Kathy said, turning to look at me. I swallowed hard. That wasn't me, I said. What? Both Inanna and Kathy asked at once. I said that wasn't me. I didn't even have time to make the call. Oh shit, Kathy said, her eyes growing wide. Get in the driver's seat, Inanna said, an American-style assault rifle appearing in her hands as she rolled down the rear window. Kathy scrambled for the driver's seat, but Ixie, caught up in the excitement, boiled and wiggled and tangled her up. Shit, Ixie, come on, she said, trying to extricate herself. My heart thudding, I decided to try and be proactive. Being skinny as a post sometimes has its advantages, and now was one of those times. I quickly squirmed my way from the back seat to the driver's seat as Inanna yelled, Get in, you two! Those aren't our guys! I accidentally rubbed my crotch on Kathy's head as I wiggled into place, and I felt like crap because I was still unbuttoned and unzipped. So she got a face full of Hanes and probably a smell that she'd find traumatic. Sorry, I said. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I just slipped. It's fine. Just get the engine on, Kathy responded, a look of disgust on her face nonetheless. She was still struggling with Ixie. I turned the key and looked over to check on Sarissa and Gary. Sarissa was right at the door but had stopped and turned. Gary had run back for Jeffrey. His big gun in his hands. I heard him shout a question. Those friends of yours? Jeffrey looked towards the group of armed men and his jaw dropped. One of the men shouted something and raised his rifle, firing a single shot at the two of them that thankfully missed. I saw both of their shirts puff out and grow tight and realized that Inanna had just materialized body armor on them. Gary grabbed Jeffrey by the scruff of the neck and pushed his head down, then they both ran for the Range Rover. More gunshots chased them, but Gary kept them moving until they arrived. Inanna leaned out the window opposite Sarissa and fired back twice, sending two men crumbling to the ground. They responded by opening up on us. Bullets smacked off the ground and put holes in the body of the vehicle. I had no idea if they could damage the engine, but I knew there were hoses and plastic things in there, so I began to hyperventilate, worrying we'd be stuck here. Inanna shot two more, and then everybody was in the vehicle, with the backseat crowded with one nude goddess, one goddess dressed vaguely slutty, and two big guys, one muscular and the other fat. Inanna elbowed Jeffrey, who was jostling her, and then fired again. Another one of the bunch dropped. Punch it, she yelled. I hit the gas. We were facing the group, but we'd be past them soon. I steered around them and put them in the rear view as they scattered, unable to shoot for the moment. Just when I'd begun to feel relief, two small pickups, both with guns mounted in the back, appeared, pulling onto the main road from side streets and roaring to catch up with us. A guy appeared in the bed of the front truck and grabbed the gun there. Oh crap! I shouted, and gave the wheel a little jerk left and right, hoping to throw off his aim. Jerry, stop that! Keep the wheel steady! Inanna shouted. Sarissa pushed Gary aside a bit and leaned forward. Jerry, here! She was holding something out to me. I looked over at her hand. It was a tiny little Sarissa. No more than 3 inches tall, I could still recognize her familiar features. But this little Sarissa was dressed in a NASCAR driver's uniform with various patches all over the place and a face-enclosing helmet in her hand. She smiled at me brightly and waved with the other hand, then pointed at herself, then me, then mimed eating something. Eat her, Sarissa said, clearing all doubt. What? I shouted back, confused as hell. I swerved to avoid a small car coming down the road towards us. Eat her, Sarissa repeated. Wait, really? I asked, disbelieving. Yes, she's a homunculi, a minor avatar of offensive and defensive driving skills. Eat her and you'll be a better driver. I reached out tentatively with one hand and gently picked up the little being. She smiled at me and gave me a thumbs up, then mimed eating something again. I winced. This was so weird. I raised her to my face and opened my mouth, at which point she swan-dived off my palm and down my throat. I gagged almost instinctively, and then the feeling of swallowing a living creature whole vanished, replaced with a comfortable familiarity with the seat, pedals, and steering wheel. I focused my attention on the road and felt confidence. This wasn't the worst road in the world. I could do this. I pushed the gas down even harder as the machine gun behind us opened up. We surged forward, nimbly dodging potholes and pedestrians and the occasional oncoming car. With my driving now much steadier, Inanna leaned back out the window and shot the driver of the lead truck. It jerked to the side and crashed through the wall of a small home, throwing the gunner in the back over the roof and down into the valley beyond. The second truck pulled forward, the way clear now. "Who are those fuckers?" Gary asked. "They're Somali fighters. They work for one of the warlords involved in the recent conflict," Jeffrey responded. More gunfire erupted from behind us, and bullets shattered the glass in the back. "Is everyone okay?" Kathy asked, looking back. "Yeah," Inanna said. "You can shoot too, you know." Kathy blinked, then drew her gun and rolled down her window. She stuck her head out, tried to shoot, and only produced a click, then pulled back in and examined her gun for a second before flicking the safety off and trying again. This time she shot the road in front of the truck. That seemed to encourage her, and she squeezed off the rest of the rounds, hitting the radiator a few times. As soon as she finished and drew back in, Gary leaned out, a rifle in his hands too now, and began shooting the front window in the vicinity of the driver. We passed a side road with some crossing traffic, and to my dismay, another truck with a gun turned and followed us. "Oh, come on!" I shouted. I looked around for something to help us, but nothing stood out. And then suddenly, there were no more buildings around us. I guided us around a dogleg turn, slowing only slightly and using some rocks by the side of the road to keep us on track. The truck drivers weren't capable of duplicating my trick and fell further behind. I opened up again once we were through the bend, and that's when inspiration struck. Our Range Rover had big knobby tires on it. The pickups had normal-sized tires and were probably worn almost bald. I drove off the road to the right, getting out into the grass and dirt. I could see what looked like a stream coming up, but I'd swing back for the bridge. The ride became much more jarring, bouncing us around, but I was able to keep the wheels lined up in the direction I wanted to go with instincts I'd never before known. I hoped this wouldn't fade with time. It felt good to finally be good at something. We came upon a narrow that would have sent me back onto the road before the stream crossed it, but inspiration struck again, and I headed to an obvious ford. We splashed in and slowed down remarkably, losing a lot of the distance we'd gained. Bullets flew around us, but none struck the vehicle. We came out of the stream, and I angled us back uphill. That would save me from having to take the bridge further on. I put more distance between us and the road, and when I finally got a clear enough stretch to risk looking back, I saw the two trucks stopped. Both were shooting at us, and both were missing badly. I slowed down, and Gary and Inanna both took the chance to lean back out. I slowed down even more, steadying their aim. Inanna shot first, and then Gary, and both machine guns went silent a half second later. I punched it again, and we were free. The end.